Welcome back, friends. Okay, I say we're getting into the text, and I had a thought triggered. Um, it was a doctor. I mean, he's a deacon, and he's a dear friend of mine, and he recommended that book to me. So the medical doctors and the faithful witness. Okay, so the thesis statement restated from this book states it acknowledges the deep spiritual dimensions of the dying process. It sketches the spiritual battlefield we find along the way and helps us interiorize the truths that will keep us safe as we seek to persevere through our final passion here on earth. The outline of The Art of Dying is 6 chapters. The commendation of death and general overview of the art of dying, temptations commonly faced by the dying and remedies for overcoming them, questions on the articles of faith for self-examination profession, reflection on the example of Christ on the cross, and prayers for assistance. Yes, we're going to tack a little over to the Shroud of Turin as inspiration for that. Instructions for the dying and those caring for them, which you mentioned just previously, and liturgical prayers to be said over the dying by those caring for him, and including the apostolic blessing. But these prayers he has, both in English and Latin, are just little gems. And he found versions of them that, a cursory glance through the internet, I wasn't able to come up with. So the prayers in and of themselves are, worth the price of the text.
Yeah, that's I mean, to have all of that as a compendium is really that's a grace.
It is a grace.
I always find it just when you're wondering, oh, I wonder if there's something out there. I guess I should cease to be surprised that the church always anticipates the needs of her children.
Yes, she always does. She always does. Our blessed Lord does. If we are honest and look at our lives, we can see how he has prepared us in the past for the things he wants us to face now, right? He's just ever so gracious. So we're pulling out a few quotes, just to wet the whistle, if you will. And let's see, yes. There's a clear structure and rationale to the temptations. They harkens a bit to the spiritual exercises of Ignatia. The first 3 temptations against faith, to despair, and to impatience are opposed to the theological virtues of faith, hope, and love, respectively. The theological virtues are called such because they direct us to God. Hence, the devil would tempt the dying man against these virtues to draw him away from God. And then there's a 4th temptation, to vainglory, spiritual pride. So again, that comes from having awareness of ourselves, because by this means the devil especially targets the devout, the religious, and the faultless. The sloth is part of that, where we, those of us who, to the best of our, try to follow the Lord, and it is real easy to look to our neighbor. And oh yes, I'm taking a short course on the major prophets, and Jeremiah, is preaching to the people of Judah before they're going to be exiled into Babylon. And that's what they say to the Lord, you're not going to exile us because, hey, we're not as bad as those guys in Egypt. Right?
Yeah.
I'm laughing at myself, friends. We all get there, and we're looking in the wrong direction as to our neighbor. Our gaze should be to our Lord, and then that really gets us right thinking.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, rectitude of intention, all of those things, when you are walking in an ordered life, things are going to make sense, right? It's your grace is going to build upon grace, um, and I do think that that person who is living that ordered life is much more capable of kind of a radical introspection, right? Where they, and that I don't want to bring this back always to Socrates, but he says very clearly that the unexamined life is not worth living, right? So especially when you're having those instances of doubt, right, or those fleeting moments at the end where because there is, I think people don't want to believe that there is a battle going on for your soul, right? That they really don't want to. Maybe they think too little of themselves. Maybe they think too um, highly of themselves. I don't know. Like but that truly that there's a fight that's going on at the end where will have, and I've been thinking more about my guardian angel in two different ways recently. As my dearest friend, the one who is going to be my strongest advocate before God at that final date, but also my most severe accuser, right? Because all the things that I have done have to come to light at some point. But if you truly have faith and confidence that our Lord has given you an angel to guide you through this process, and I think we had talked about the examination at night, right? To do these examinations at night, that your guardian angel really is the one who is capable of seeing you with perfect clarity, right? So that at the end, when you're going through this process, and I think that you had said that there was like an attack on faith, hope, and charity, right? Those supernatural virtues really are going to come under fire at that time. Um, so it's important that before you get to that moment, that you have lived that examined life, right? That you have lived that ordered life. Um, and I think most people who are in that state generally tend to be able to approach death. I don't know if I want to say joyfully because that seems um, an odd way of talking about it in the modern world, but at least um, I don't know, sufficiently, like confidently.
The examined life. That's it. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, the examined life. And if we're faithful to confession and we make good confessions to the best of our ability, and we all know when we are doing that, that is a preparation for our particular judgment
Right.
each and every time. And if we have the ability and the opportunity to go once a month, um, unless other situations come up and you need to go 12 times a year over however many years,
Right.
time and time again. And if you've made a general examination of conscience and the opportunities for plenary indulgences come around and the divine, so then that examined life you're talking about, you have been doing that. And to know that we're going to be set there and our angel may not quite have the list he would otherwise have because, right, the Lord has told us he doesn't remember them anymore, you know, right? The
Right.
he doesn't remember. So we do these things. The church is so good to us. It is so good to us. So that when I hear this, whatever the illumination of conscience, and I
Right.
quite rightly say, please God, let it be so
Right.
that my mind can see what I can do to do better. Because I
Right.
know I'm just being real selfish now because I know the closer I am to the Lord's will for me, the happier my life will be,
Right.
right?
Right. Without a doubt. And I was thinking too in regards to what you had said with the faith, hope, and charity, um, that there are, the church has given us prayers in the form of an active faith, an active hope, and an active charity. And those are indulgence prayers. And it makes sense now, right? That if those are going to be that if that's going to be a primary attacking point for Satan at the end of life, that the church would then provide for her children a way of growing stronger in those prayers. And so, so a well-lived life, right? If we're going to talk about living well so that you can die well, one thing that I would encourage people to do is to make an opportunity to learn those prayers and to pray them as part of your daily prayers, to make an act of faith, to make an act of hope, to make an act of charity. So, and obviously a prayer to your guardian angel, of course, along with your consecrations to the Blessed Mother. Those prayers are given to us not because they're a weight, right, but rather because they are the wind underneath the wings, as it were.
Sure. All right, we're going to pick up something else Sarah said about the value of the soul and Augustine in the next episode. Till then, Fides Abbraccio.